My phone, and I can't get it.
Good luck, all right.
Go ahead. We'll go ahead and start the Whiteland Town meeting for June 11th. If everybody could stand and say pledge allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Tim Brown,
Here.
Brad Godecker,
Here.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Here.
Joe Saylor,
Here.
Richard Hill.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Invocation, Carmen, Slim.
Dear God, we gather here today in your presence to conduct the business of the town. We ask for your blessing and guidance to support the town in the best manner possible. Amen.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Richard, may I say something?
Sure.
Guys, I've got to wear these glasses. I apologize to anybody. I know it's disrespectful, but I'm having eye issues right now. So I'll try to take them off as much as possible, but it's the light's really bothering me. So I just want to let you know that's why I'm wearing them. I do apologize because I know it doesn't look professional, but I just want you to be aware of what's going on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Review and approval of the agenda for tonight. Any add-ons, any questions, concerns? With that, we'll go to the minutes, May 14th, 2024. Questions, concerns at all? We have a motion for approval.
I'll move to approve. Second.
Mr. Saylor, Mr. Godecker. Quick roll call, please.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Brad Godecker,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Joe Saylor,
Yes.
Richard Hill.
Yes?
5-0.
Voucher packets?
Move to accept voucher packet 6/11/24.
We got a second.
I'll second.
Just to reverse, Mr. Godecker, Mr. Saylor. So roll call, please.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Brad Godecker,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Joe Saylor, Richard Hill.
Yes?
Passed 5-0.
Financial reports? Is that Carmen or Melissa?
I
Both?
have a couple things. We did receive the refund from the Indiana Department of Revenue, which you should have a copy of the deposit and the receipt that we entered it into the system. I originally paid $80,677.22, so they paid January's fee, which was the $8,200, and we got the remaining balance. So it is now in the water. And we did receive our June settlements, but I haven't entered it yet. But it is $859,146.97.
Thank you for following up on that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Did the fire get separated? Have you looked at the paperwork yet?
All of it, no. I've got it here, if you want to look at it, but yeah, no, I'll have to look at it some more.
Okay.
I just had a question. It said farmer's market, and I didn't get a chance to call you because I was going to ask you about it. But it said $100 a couple times. Are we paying the library to be over there? Is that what that is, or?
That's for the vendors to participate for the season.
Okay.
It's like a commitment. It's not a huge amount. $100 for the season or $20 each time if they just want to come individually.
Okay, I was just curious. I seen it and I didn't have a chance to call you to ask. Thank you.
Does any of that go to the library?
Thank you, Carmen.
I'll just do some quick fund balance updates for you. So this is as of May 31st, 2024. General fund balance was $236,051.87. And there was some shifting around that needed to occur. It does show that we had significant revenue, and some of that was we received supplemental lit at the end of May. In the amount of about $140,000, that you can kind of see, that obviously the balance is back in the positive, just with the shifts that we needed to make, and it's kind of a revolving fund. Sewer operating, our balance is $560,480.04. For whatever reason, my headers were removed, but the income and expenses were about the same, so nothing significantly different. Their sewer improvement fund balance $534,549.96. It shows $200,000 in revenue that was moved for more logistics donation for the interstate lift station into the sewer improvement fund. And then the disbursement was the majority of that was for the project that Slim did, right? I didn't really dig into that one.
Likely.
Yeah, we did just finish up the big project that Slim was working on over
Pearl Street.
on Pearl's Woods Lane. Water operating fund balance $421,000. Nothing significant there with revenue and disbursements that stuck out. And then water improvement fund balance $447,383.96. And the same thing there as far as revenue and disbursements.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns on the financial reports? Nothing over here. First on the agenda, special guest.
Yeah, just, I know we already took the picture, but we have with us tonight Jonathan McCoy and Ashley Ricketts. They were the 2024 Auto Doors Memorial Scholarship winners. And so they will each be receiving $1,000 from the town for their education. Jonathan's going to Franklin College and Ashley's going to IU. So just wanted to have an opportunity to recognize them. Like I said, we've already done the picture and a certificate. If another certificate, you already got one, but you know, have another one.
There's Ashley.
And then the cool thing this year is we were able to get Otto's daughter involved in the selection process, and so that was really cool just to kind of continue that legacy of Otto's spirit. And when we walked into the high school, everybody was like, "You're at Lewis, you're at Lewis." I mean, they're easy to pick out of a crowd, but I thought that was kind of cool that she wanted to be involved this year, so.
Awesome.
Just wanted to recognize them and congratulate them one more time before they head off to bigger and better things, right?
Congratulations. Thank you. Good luck in school.
Good luck, guys.
That's $1,000. Used to be $500, I think. Old business conflict of interest form. Byron Temple.
Melissa, the copy that I had in my packet is not the revised version. Do you have a revised version that you signed? Yes. And if it's all right, I'll just put it on the record. Get it on the record. I don't think you.
Item 6.
We don't have.
No, yours doesn't have the
That's
additions.
right one.
Item 6 is not filled out on mine. Is it supposed to be?
It is, and the one that he has signed again does have 6 filled in. It says in the Purpose of 6 is to provide a description of the contractor purchase, and it's filled in now with Professional Auto Care Center, Inc. Provides auto maintenance and repair services to the town on an as-needed basis. And then on 7, in addition to what he had previously put in, which was a mechanic shop, that the description of my financial interest. He had inserted mechanic shop that provides mechanical service. We provide oil changes, tire rotations, etc. Now it also includes, I am the owner of Professional Auto Care Center, Inc., and therefore receive any net profits generated from the auto maintenance and repair services it provides to the town.
So you have the correct copy there.
Yes.
I don't have the copy that you have, Mr. Watson. I don't need it, but from what you've read, it sounds to me like now is legally sufficient. I would move to approve Mr. Temple's conflict of interest disclosure.
Have a second? Mr. Saylor, Mr. Godek, they're on a roll tonight. Roll call vote, please.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Roger Decker,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Joe Saylor,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes.
passed 5-0.
Marketplace Barnes analysis.
So I had put a memo in your packet, and the last meeting, Tim Brown had asked if we could kind of put together what we made, what we expended on the marketplace stores that are right next door to town hall. So not quite sure where you guys want to go with this, but just wanted to provide you, since they were installed in 2019. We have made about $56,500, but we've expended $68,000. Obviously, you're getting quite a few expenses as you're getting things set up, but we've not quite recovered from the initial expenditure, and so to date we have lost $11,376. I think what's significant to me is I know that we could probably generate enough revenue to break even. These were never intended to make a lot of money. But we're starting to get a lot of wear and tear on the barns themselves. We're also in a place where we don't have parking for even our employees. If you drive by, like sometimes it's even hard to get out onto from West Street onto Whiteland Road because the vehicles are kind of blocking that. So that's kind of my 2 cents. I don't quite know what the council is. I put this together for Mr. Brown, and I'll let him kind of take it from there and let you guys discuss further.
Thank you. The issue that I have is with it is, one, when it was put there to help with the farmer's market, bringing everybody to the town hall and saying, hey, look, this is what we're doing for the town. Well, right now, it's starting to cost us money. And now we're gonna have to come in and refab the barns, do everything to bring them up to grade. And with everything we got coming down with the water rates and everything like this, we've got to be concerned of how we're going to spend our money. To me, with the farmer's market being over there, then this is just a plot for people to have a business here, so it's not really benefiting the town farmer market anymore. And it's kind of taken away from our parking lot, parking and stuff like that. Since we're not having that many events here, is it one of the things that, because we're going to have to replace the mini barns, or at least come in and fix the floors and do stuff like that, and that's not cheap. I mean, we all got properties, we all know how it takes to maintain them and stuff like that. To me, with the amount of parking we got and everything like that, I just don't want to keep throwing a lot of money towards these if we're not even breaking even. I mean, that's the thing, we're not breaking even at all, and we haven't. We're paying the water and sewer for a guy waters his plants every day.
And it's not included in the expenses. The water and sewer is not included.
Right, it's not.
They're getting that for free.
They're getting it for free. So he's watering everything out there, they're watering everything, and they're not paying the water bill, and that means the town's paying that water bill. And there's not a separate meter for each building to say, okay, we know he's using this much water, or she's using that, or they're using that. So to me, it's just one of them things if everything was in place and we had plenty of parking it was a little more where we had more farmers market, had more events downtown, it might be a little different. But since we did move them over to the library because of the parking situation, because it was easier for people to get in, more of our food vendors can come in a bigger area. Well, with that being there, that takes up a lot of room. So we can't have a lot of vendors here and stuff like that to have a big event. And I just think with us paying the water bills and stuff like that, I just don't see how. Anybody who owns a business would love if they could get the water bill paid for and the sewer bill paid for and get rent as cheap as that is to run a business. I mean, that's really affordable to run a business for the price they're getting. Yeah, granted, it is a shed, I get that, but there is access to a bathroom right here. So they probably come over and use ours.
How many different vendors have been in the sheds?
Okay, so
Yeah.
see, they're getting a free bathroom, they're getting all the money, they don't have to deal with handicap issues and stuff.
Well,
That was my only concern.
I largely agree with you, Tim. I don't think at this point it's really a viable project. My only concern is that it sounds to me like most of them are what the town's departments are using, kind of as overflow. And it looks like, according to this, the flower vendor's planning on closing up shop at the end of July. So that leaves basically one vendor. I'm always gonna be, extremely hesitant to, a local business to just boot them and whatnot. So what I would favor is, we start phasing it out now. Stop, accepting new tenants and such. And basically, if Sweet Spot is wanting to stay there, sell them, okay, at the end of 2025, that one's done. Something where, we're not just gonna come in and tell them, like, hit the road, sorry about you.
Oh, I understand
Give
that.
them an opportunity, plenty of opportunity to relocate and everything. But I agree with you that,
It's a money pit, I hate to say it that way, but and if I'm not mistaken, one of our residents not even a town resident.
I have no idea.
If what rents there, if I'm not mistaken. One of our tenants is not, and one of our vendors is not. Okay, so they're not a local business is what that was designed for, is to work our local community business, to help our smaller entrepreneurs to start a business and work out of a little area like that and prove to get a company going. It's nice to have that, but to me, it just seemed like I'm with you. I just don't want to close it down and say, no, that you've got nowhere to go, but I would like to see about phasing this out. Just my opinion, because I'm afraid it's going to get to the cost that we're going to be buying new sheds. The guys are going to have to set them, because it's probably going to be cheaper to buy a new shed than it is to go over there and rebuild what we got and have them bring it in on a truck than it is to rebuild what we got.
What would we do with I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
What would we do if we decide to phase out? What would we do with the sheds?
Well, sell them, or like what Joe was saying is, as people have moved out, we've just not been soliciting to fill them back up, just because like the fire department has 2 of them, and then we're using one as overflow storage.
But eventually, when you get to that phase out, then what would we do with the physical structures?
Recoup some of that, like the one that has the floor, the 2 that are used the most, those probably, they may not be able to be salvaged and resold, but the 3 that are, in the quote unquote restroom. And then there's the gazebo, whatever we would do with the pergola gazebo thing, we can definitely look at.
You can put them at the street garage or the sewer
And
plant.
that's what I was thinking. I'm sure they could use them there.
Parks ourselves, not that those are commercial quality park type, but it could be something that we put like the one that we have at the dog park, take that and we can put it into the parks.
I think we could move him into our system and use him into a place, just like that cheap one you built over that water pump down there. I mean, you could reconstruct one of them over that, nicer building, nicer this. It'd be good with no floor, because you don't need a floor in it anyway there. If you decide to pour concrete or whatever. I think we're not just want to tear them up from what I would like to see. I'd like to see us recycle them back into our system ourselves for our people can use them around here, you know, like the chief gets one for his when he gets a new place or whatever, and fire department, anybody who might need one could use it. And that way they're not just getting totally destroyed and thrown in the dumpster.
I think it's reasonable what Joe said. I mean, a phase out, you don't leave somebody stranded.
So, just let me ask this, cause I will forget, what's the duration of our current leases?
They're a year,
Yeah.
which, in March, March to March is kind of how our contracts or our leases have been.
Okay,
You know, with Shannon's the only tenant that's been here for the duration.
And a termination.
And that was the
Right
original
to termination.
Santa barn that when we first started, we just started with that one. So she's been here the longest.
so if she renewed in March, I guess I'd be interested in where, you know, basically if she wanted to come in and talk to us about what would work for her business, so we can consider that. But we probably do need to put, my thought is to put in kind of an end date on, you know, we're ceasing to lease these. We're not leasing anymore, and we're, not offering lease renewals after whatever point.
And the way that the lease is written now, we basically can terminate it at any time, as can the tenant. So
All right, so they're basically month to month type things.
I mean, we have 30 days notice, but.
Only the price is a year.
Okay.
Only the rent's the year contract.
Right, but we don't want to do that to them.
No,
We'd like to be respectful to them
No, no,
too.
That's what
I'm saying at the end of their lease, which is next year.
it's about, what, 9-10 months?
I think that's adequate enough time too.
I do too, and if they would feel differently, I would love to hear what they think. And I'm open to, definitely to working with them to the extent possible, but I do think, my sense would be it probably makes sense to. We've never recovered our initial investment. We haven't recovered the whole thing, and then we're getting to at a point where, while we are making a year-to-year profit on it, we're getting at a point on an infrastructure basis where we're gonna have a whole bunch of costs coming due, basically to keep it afloat. There's no way that we can keep up with, and never mind all the logistical problems with it.
Thank you.
So do we need to vote on that? Or
That's what I was just getting ready to ask him. Do I need to make a motion or do we want her to draw something up and give it to us that we can?
Either a consensus of the council or a motion would be recommended. So that Carmen has clear direction as to where things stand.
I can make a motion to, when the lease is up, it's done. With that being said, if they want to come in and talk to council and present their case, they're more than welcome to. But I would like to make the motion that when the lease is done, we're no longer leasing them to anybody outsourced, only the town utilities versus police department, fire department can use the buildings.
No new leases, no renewal of leases.
Yes, that's what I would like to see.
I second that.
Mr. Brown and Debbie, do we have a roll call, please?
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Brad Godecker,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Joe Saylor,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes.
passed 5-0.
Paving project, Carmen?
So this was at your, because I don't think about it, it was all in the packet. So we have the bid opening for the 2024 Prairie Crossing paving project. Includes the West Street and Pearl Street paving, sidewalks, and driveway approach and curbs. And we also put in an alternate when the sewer project was worked on the corner of the roads to replace. So the alternates are Tichenor Drive, Woods Lane, and then we also put some take care of the town hall parking lot, getting that repaved and restriped as those were the alternates. So with that, we had 4 contractors that had put in bids. The lowest bid initially is Dave O'Meara Contractor, which their base bid for just the community crossings portion of the project was $757,96. But with the alternates, their bid was $847,239.50. With that, we reviewed their packet and proved that they met all the criteria of all the other documents, and they are the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. So I would like to recommend that the city council award Dave O'Meara the 2024 wetland paving project. That would include the community crossings portion,
Like Dave
as well
O'Meara.
as all 3 alternates.
And I'm just running some math quick and dirty in my head here. No matter how we stacked up those alternates,
Yeah.
there's no one else that could be responsive, is there?
No, so the base bids, they were the lowest on the base bid, and then even though some of their alternates were higher, like utilization, that's the biggest thing, is getting the equipment and the cost that comes along with that. It's usually a 10 grand charge right there, so while they have their equipment here, let's see if we can knock out the other projects. And so again, and even with that, then they were the lowest amount at $847. We have worked with Dave O'Meara before. They did help in one of our first, is it the Spring Hill? Yeah, Spring Hill, like one of the very first projects back there, and maybe Oakville too. Yeah. So we worked with Dave O'Meara before. They did a great job. And then you can see our portion of the community crossings will be $189,000, and then the additional paving will be $90,000, which would come out of NVH restricted and then our LRS.
Comment on the last paving project, we had some hiccups that we did.
2 times ago, you know?
Two times ago. Is there any language in our contract or anything like that, or has it been talked about or specified potentially protecting the town if in fact they get into a situation where the soil, compaction of the soil or something like that they need to dig things out, that we don't have a astronomical number coming back to the council for additional funding? Is there some sort of protections or?
With all that they're in the scope of work, what they're doing, they should not go deep enough to even get close to that. And that's what I believe was the issue back 2 years ago. They were told they could mill up to an amount. They went ahead and milled that full amount and lost the road. And then there were just other things that kind of went with that. So this one, they're only milling, like some places, they're only gonna mill like ½ an inch just to kind of, because some of the road is big. We've had the last year and this year, we've had a gentleman put plans together for us, go out there and shoot grade and put that in the bid packet to try and prevent like somebody from going in the beginning and just tearing things out, so he went and shot grade and got the right, calculations as far as, how much to mill, where, put the crown in the road and all those technical terms that are above my pay grade. But, so last year's project was seamless. And I think the biggest thing also was communication with our residents. And last year's project, I don't think we had a couple of hiccups, but they were right, that contractor was right on it. And like I said, so now the previous contractor set an expectation that we would like to have O'Meara kind of follow that same suit. One thing that they did is they went through and videotaped everything before they even dug anything up. So if a resident came back and said that track wasn't there, they had proof to say, well, this is what it looked like before we started the project, and that track was there, or maybe it wasn't, and we'll, fix it that way. So those were a lot of lessons learned that from 2 years ago. Last year's contractor did a phenomenal job, and so that'll be our expectation with that. As far as we could get into a spot where things do happen, but my philosophy with anything is, even if a mistake happens, it's what you do to fix it and make it right. So, and sometimes that does come with extra cost, but I think O'Meara would
Okay.
Well, and I believe the contractor on the one 2 years ago probably lost money on our job. In fact, I think they all, I don't see there's any way that they didn't lose
They
money on
wanted to
our
bid
job.
on this one.
Don't they do a cubic yard foot price? Like say where I'm from, we do a cubic foot. If it's a dig out, we know how much it's gonna cost. We'll come in, the engineer say, yeah, they're taking out this much, and we know right up front that each cubic yard costs us this much to take out. That way we're not getting an extra where the contractor or someone could say, hey, no, it's this much. Usually going out for it, right out of the gate, we know exactly if there's an extra on the job, we know it's gonna be pulled out of this section here. That way it keeps the prices at a bit.
There
And
is a detailed, like.
Yeah, I think our bid solicitation packet has all of that.
yeah, and that should be standard, and video should be standard everywhere.
And that's where, like, having plans now, that's what the contractor's gonna look at when they're out in the field. So
Right.
they may go from a section of the road that is just a half inch to then, oh, now we don't even, we just need to kind of scuff it, we may not even need, so it's in the plan. So unless they're not following the plans, then that would be one the contractor, if they ended up digging down. Because again, sometimes those things happen, your machine gets set at a different, doesn't get moved or something, and things do happen.
Oh, I agree, and I've been on a lot of
To
jobs.
protect us, to protect us and the contractor if something does go wrong.
Right, I know when they did my area, I watched them run over my road and sink down this deep, and the gentleman said, pave over. So now I got a bad side road. And this was 4 or 5 years ago that we've dealt with this when they come in and paved everything. I just want to make sure that we're protected, that we know, there are going to be problems on jobs, guys. There's nothing we can do. Trucks rolling over things, Do you guys take a general route with your trucks, with your guys? Do you tell them, yeah, we'd like to see you on this main road here, but not on these side roads or anything? Because like in our area, we direct where we want them to go off and stay off the side roads, mainly on the main roads to protect them.
We have a pre-con meeting with the contractor,
Okay.
and then we'll assign like one of our guys as an inspector, if that's their first line of communication, every day, and we kind of, again, the communication even with our residents was key. The other thing that happened a few years ago is they tore up both sides of the road at one time in previous years, and then the last year, we only told them you cut one side of the road at a time, just so you
Right.
can move the whole road. And so, again, there were just a lot of things that went the wrong way a couple of years ago that, again, we've not made that mistake last year. That'll be the same thing, but we do a pre-con, and like I said, they have a key person that they talk to every day on whether they're gonna be here.
Going to be any extra stormwater work like last year?
Yes, and I'll be taking that to the stormwater board and I have to go through the detailed part. So you're just approving the award.
The award.
The contractor.
Right.
Contract.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what's included. Is sidewalks included too?
Yes.
Okay,
Curbs, sidewalks, neighborhood approaches.
Okay.
And then after this year's project, we'll be done with all of our subdivisions and we still have the work. Now we can start working on the big roads that are gonna take a lot more money.
Definitely gonna take a lot more money.
Thanks for your efforts. Appreciate it.
Any motion on this, Stephen, does it need to be subject to your review and approval, or have you already done
Of
that?
the contract.
Yeah.
It's really more awarding the contract, and that implies that it's the contract that's prepared by me and so forth. I was at the bid opening and oversaw that, and I did not look at the bid documents themselves, but Carmen and her office did, and I told her if there's anything that looks out of ordinary, let me know and I'll look into it, but that's kind of what that was left.
Have a motion on the table.
I'll make a motion to award the contract to Dave O'Meara Contractor for $847,239.50.
I'll second.
Second.
I'll second that.
I think
Good enough.
Tim Braxton.
Got
Good
it.
enough, either way.
So, either or.
It doesn't hurt my feelings.
Judge Dredd.
Okay.
subsequently Joe did. Take a roll call, please.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Joe Decker,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Joe Saylor,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes?
passed 5-0.
Ordinance 2024-09. Like this is a policy conduct public meetings. And I believe it's second.
We discussed it in some,
I'm sorry, may I interject? I want to make sure that we're clear on the record. The motion awarding the contract, was that for base plus all of the alternates?
Yeah, for 847,000.
Okay, you put that in your motion?
Correct.
yes, then,
That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've reviewed everything that Stephen has amended and did our request from last meeting. It looks, everything that I had asked for looks good to me.
I didn't have no questions about it.
Neither.
You okay with that?
You want water, Deb?
Water real quick?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion for ordinance 2024-09?
I'll move to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
Mr. Saylor and Mr. Brown. Wasn't sure where
I
we
kept watching to see.
were.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Brad Go Decker,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Joe Saylor,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes?
passed 5-0.
Trash? Off the trash.
So this is a request to amend the contract that was approved at last month's meeting. So after we awarded the contract to Best Way, we had sat down with Best Way and just kind of started talking logistically how we were gonna roll out finish up, wrap up Republic's contract and then roll out the Best Way contract. And one of the things that came up, in the contract, it said that the start time is not to start before 8 AM, but our release ordinance lives at 7 AM. And just knowing that I know other communities, their trucks are ready and waiting at 6:59, and as soon as 7 o'clock rolls, so do the trucks. And so wanted to kind of bring that forth to you all to see if that would be okay to make that amendment on the time, the start time of their ability to pick up at 7 AM instead of 8 AM. And then there was another one regarding the bond that asking for the town council to waive or modify the requirement of the performance bond must be renewable unconditionally for at least one additional year beyond the length of the executed contract. And I'll let Stephen kind of add to that as I missed something.
The only other thing that I wanted to make sure, not only renewable at the end of the contract, meaning at the end of 4 years for an additional 1 year, but the specification said that the original performance bond had to unconditionally be renewable from year to year for the full 4 years. And the bonding company did not agree to that. Now, if they were pushed, maybe they would, or maybe another bonding company might, but you'd probably be looking at more expense that would be incurred for that. And I think a 1 year requirement on that is reasonable. So that was what was, requested to be waived or adjusted in the contract to require only a year to year.
I guess I don't have a problem with making it year to year, but I guess just for my own edification, since that was a bid spec, we're not a party to their contract with the bond. they can't pass on that extra expense to us, can they? Correct?
Right.
They can just withdraw their bid if they wanted to.
Well, they couldn't even withdraw their bid.
They just.
They may, well, they've actually already signed the contract. But part of what they had to do was also to provide an acceptable performance bond. And that's where I reviewed it, identified this issue, and so now it's, come before the council to deal with. From a bidding standpoint, our bid specs say that we can waive terms that don't, materially affect the competitive nature, so to speak, of the
Okay.
process.
Carmen, is there language in the contract for leaks and cleanup that is a requirement if they, from all the previous issues we've had, that is covered?
And there was even more in the Republic contract that they weren't adhering to or providing us with, that, to be honest, since I kind of became in when the contract was in force, I didn't sit there and read all the contracts and make sure everybody was following all the rules. But we did specifically discuss the spills and cleanups and how those would be addressed. And one of the things, again, when we met with after awarding the contract is, he said, you won't just see 1 or 2 people out here, you'll see about 20 of them out here until it is cleaned up. So now, obviously, again, just what I had said previously, accidents will happen, but how do you resolve them and take care of the situation? So, I hope that is the case. I take them move forward until something doesn't happen, right? But it does specifically address that, how they would handle, broken cans and things of that nature too. It's all, we hashed out all of our
Concerns,
concerns with them, and gave them a lot of, there was about 5 of us in the meeting that, just drilling in with all of our issues that we've had with the current contractor.
And IDM changed the law that these companies have to carry a safety team on, or has to be respond to every spill, because IDM changed the spill from 5 gallons to a gallon now. So everything's got, and they're required, like in our area, I had a spill. So I call them and say, hey, I need your spill team here. They have to provide that spill team there within an hour. And that's just something they have to do by IDM standard. And if they don't, then it goes through IDM, then IDM is involved, and then nobody really wants that. So I think people are really stepping up their game to take care of the oil and the hydraulic leaks from now on, since IDM stepped in and changed everything.
Does anybody, I don't have a heartburn about the 7 a.m.
No,
Anybody?
it's an alarm clock
I'm up before then.
for a lot of people.
Too far away. Too far away from your house to you.
I don't
You
know.
want to address the bag stickers as well?
That's what I
I
was
did
thinking.
include
Oh, yes.
provision for that.
So one of the
Big
things that
stickers.
Bethany does a little differently than what we're used to is, we have, it's 95 gallon, I guess. We have 96, so we're losing a gallon, but it's just how the bowl is. But if people, if residents end up having more than that fits in their can, they can set bags outside of their cart. But the way that Best Way handles that is they ask for them to purchase a sticker. The way that other communities, Greenwood does this, New Whiteland does this, those are the 2 local communities that have Best Way, where those residents would come into the town hall, city hall, and purchase the sticker directly from the town. So Best Way charges us for the sticker, and then we quote unquote resell it back to the resident to do that. So, if it only happens a couple times a year and they're not quite where they need it for an extra card for the $6 a month, but they just a couple times a year, maybe they do a cleanup or whatever and need some extra stickers, it gives them an ability to get rid of that trash that week instead of having to wait and keep filling up their can until they get rid of all of their extra bags. So that's a little different than what we're used to, and so I've proposed that we resell the stickers for $1. We get charged. There's a little bit of a markup just so in case somebody comes in Best Way charges us 75 cents. So it's just up it to $1. That way you come in with $1 instead of like, all the quarters and with that. I mean, it's not really to make money, but there would be kind of a small administration, handling fee, I guess, but, so that's also included in the addendum.
Are we currently considering ordinance 2024-10 or just the addendum?
Yeah, just the.
Just the addendum?
Does this, have to be in a bag? The stuff that you sit to the side?
Yes, and on heavy trash, so another one of the things, again, communications key, they're putting together a brochure that will go out to all the residents. They will be at our community night event, which is right before their contract starts. And it kind of says the do's and don'ts. Now, obviously, on heavy trash, if you have carpet and you have items that qualify for heavy trash, those don't need to be in bags, but they do talk about how to bundle your heavy trash on that, but they do prefer that they are in bags,
I can see somebody pushing the envelope there.
of course.
Oh, I get the Sawzall out and I cut up whatever it is that's big and it fits in one of those 95.
Yeah, it'll fit the toe, yes.
Sometimes I see the machine struggle to pick it up, but it doesn't.
Carmen, you say mailers will give notifications
Yes,
so how much notice advance do you give the residents?
I just approved.
It says 75 cents, but it don't say nowhere we're charging $1, does it?
Yes,
I
it
don't
does.
remember off the top of my head. I'm
Sure.
gonna send that brochure out.
Where's your dollar sticker?
It'll be a whole, like,
Oh, you're talking about in the addendum?
public cans and the,
Well, that's-
and the Best Way cans.
It's in here.
I believe it's here at the beginning of July that we would.
Yeah.
So a notification in July and a transition in August concept?
Something
like that, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the addendum to the 2024 contract for collection of transportation and disposal of trash, including specifically the 7 AM start time, the modification of the performance bond, and the, excuse me, the, actually, in my copy of that doesn't have the 75 cents. It's in,
There's a red line version.
okay, I must be looking at the wrong one. And the, I know I read it, in something, so, including the specifically.
Yeah, I see Miss Cindy.
Those three changes.
Right there.
I don't know what happened to mine. I had one of those at one point, but I seem to have lost it.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts.
Well, the contract's on here. This is the ordinance. There it is.
The blue page. It shows down here.
Yeah, I got it here. All right. So that's my motion.
Do I have a second? Mr. Saylor, Mr. Godecker? Take a roll call vote, please.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Richard Decker.
Yes.
Susan Erickson,
Yes.
Joe Saylor,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes.
passed 5-0.
So this is an introduction, ordinance, amending the fees and charges for the collection and removal of garbage, trash, and recyclables in the town of Whiteland. What we put in the ordinance to begin with, is your 4 price that we would be charged from Best Way, but as you see tonight, there was a couple of options to consider, as far as, the rate consideration. Right now, our rates are at $13.50. And in year 4 of the contract with Best Way, the price will be $18.85. So that's what's being introduced in the ordinance. That's how the 2020 ordinance was introduced and adopted, because they went with year 4 pricing from the contractor, and that's what they increased the rates to. So you can see what the percent rate would go up The overall cost would be $5.35 if we increased it to the $18.85. But it's in your guys' hands on how you'd like to kind of approach that. Like I said, option one I've provided is a phased in over 2 years, the price would increase to get to that $18.85. Option two is an average of the 4 years. And then option three is presented to you tonight. The extra cards will be $6 a can, that's the direct, that's what Westways charging us. To alleviate extra paperwork in our office, all extra cans will be ordered and paid through directly with Westway. So that will be outside of, if they want an extra can, whether that be trash or recycled, they'll contact Westway to handle that. That way we don't have a switcheroo again with neighbor moves out, neighbor goes and grabs their cans, and all of a sudden they have 2 of each, and we're already going to have it on it, the trash cans, I don't know how many times through the years.
They're the same gallon capacity as present day.
I did ask about smaller ones, because like folks in the Briar Creek villas, they can't put sheds or any accessory structures out, and they're usually the 55 and older, so they don't have as much garbage, and they can request a smaller can, but they'll still get unfortunately charged the same amount, so. And it's just introduction, so you guys, what you want to discuss and move forward.
And you should have received a red line version that includes the additional stickers.
Yeah, yep.
So on option one, going year to year to year to year, how much administrative tasks are there to go in and is that really, really time consuming? Is it not beneficial? Is it create problems,
We have to go
errors?
in through our billing software and make the change. I mean, to be honest, something like that, it would just have to be the reminder every year to set that the rate would change every year.
Do we have to do publication every year that it changes, or just publication of the rate change as adopted?
Just publication one time.
Well, I can tell you, people, you raise their water bill $1 and they're calling.
No.
So,
I would say
Be-
2 or 3 make way more sense.
yeah,
I'd probably lean toward 2.
2,
So just rip
I am-
it off.
I am not a fan of 2,
you're not?
simply because we are building. I mean, this continues. I mean, we're gonna be putting more houses there. Like, I'm personally in favor of option 1. Everything, the cost of everything is going up now. So we're looking at over, 33 to 39% plus for 27 the first year. And so worst out. So I'm a fan of option 1. So it would be option 3.
I want option 2. I know people don't like for things to go up every year, and we get those complaints all the time. So they were happy when they had the same price all 4 years and they didn't have to worry about an increase.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but option 2 basically results in the same amount paid as long as you
Right.
own your home.
It's the same amount as the 4 averaged.
Yeah.
How much, I'm sorry.
Potentially option 3, administrative revenue, which this ought to be all passed through, I would think. Since it's relatively percentage-wise, it's a high-level jump.
Option. We're faced with this level of jump, whether we like it or not, I would be hesitant about 3.
One, like you were saying, I understand, but you're only raising it 30 cents here, 40 cents here, 50 cents here. That's really not a big increase. But to hit someone all at once, That's a big increase, especially with everything we got coming down the road. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of things are gonna go, but to hit them all at once, or a rate increase at this for the next 4 years, I mean,
at the end of the day, it's $5.
Yeah.
yeah.
This is
It's a
all the
big
same
percentage, but it's,
Big percentage, but it's a small.
it's $5.
as, but administratively, it's easier.
Right. Administrative, that's what I'm worried about, is if it's easier on them.
I tend to think that since talking about significant percent, but a small percent deviation between 1, 2, and 3, and then we're talking about reality of basically $5. I'll make a motion to proceed with it on option 2.
I second it.
Mr. Saylor and Debbie, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Tim Brown? I'm sorry,
Yes.
Brad Goodicker?
No.
Deborah Hendrickson?
Yes.
Joe Saylor?
Yes.
Richard Hill?
Yes.
Come back next month for a public hearing. The $18.05 rate, starting in September.
No, 1805,
What did I say?
1885.
I meant to say 05, sorry. Thank you.
Try to get me early.
Review of abatement statements and compliance. Mr. Watson?
The third and last one for this year in terms of CF1 reviews. And you can see that I've provided a summary table again. There are three that are a little bit unusual, that have some extra notes to them that I would point out. I can point them out now, but if there's any specific questions anyone has, I'll have an opportunity for those first. Okay, seeing none, I'll start with the MEC Whiteland building, which was technically the second Moore building, the first being the Cooper building. And that one, it was constructed, the shell of it was constructed, and I think had its first assessment 2 years ago. And then this last year, there was a rather large jump by about $10 million. Most of that came, well, let me back up and explain. The jump overall was attributable to the build out of the office space inside. They got a new tenant. They then knew what the tenant wanted in the way of office space inside. And that resulted in two things: about $1 million of new value just from the build out of the office space. But secondly was a change in the classification that the assessor's office made. And that basically accounted for the other $9 million in increase. So in terms of the, what was attributable to the actual construction, that was just approximately $1 million. And I received a question about, from the assessor's office, whether a second cycle would be allowed for this additional $1 million for the assessed value for the interior build out. And that also was requested by the representative for the property owner as well. There's a bit of a discrepancy, I should say discrepancy, but they included on their SB1 an estimate of their completion at the end of 2022. They started the build out. I want to make sure I've got my information correct. Just a second, I'm gonna check. this is what I think happened. They estimated completing at the end of 2021. They pulled their building permit for the interior in 2022. They completed it near the end of 2022. The assessor's office, though, didn't pick it up until January of 24. So there was basically a lag attributable to the assessor's office. But technically speaking, they did not complete this additional $1 million within the original estimate. Now, the question then became, well, are you going to give them the benefit of that, even though they were, 1 year, late, so to speak, or not? My recommendation would be that you go ahead and allow it, because of it being a spec building, it's uncertain as to whether or not or when you're going to get your tenant. You can't really finish the office space until you have your tenant. And I think it's just consistent with the overall scheme of things when you're talking about that kind of a spec building. And it's in the next assessment year that they actually did accomplish it, even though the assessor's office didn't pick it up until a year later. In that respect, that additional year wasn't the owner's fault. So I wanted to note that, and ultimately I would like for you to give me an answer as to whether or not I'll allow the additional cycle as requested. Now, I'll skip to the next one that I had a note on, and that was the MLP Land 2 at the top. And in that one, they're in year one. They estimated their assessed value to be $50,000. The actual assessed value is only $20 million. Their estimated cost of the project was not given on the CF1, but on the SB1, which is their original estimate, they said it was $50 million. Their actual cost of the project was not given. So what we have is the $50 million estimate. The estimate of number of employees was 0 on the SB1. The actual number of employees is not given on the CF1. The estimated average salary was not given on the CF1. It was 0 on the SB1. So the wages and salaries and employees, since they estimated 0, I don't think that's an issue. The real issue is the difference between $50 million, which they estimated this value, and coming in with only $20 million. Well, the explanation on that, I looked into it, is this lot originally, when they filed their SB1, anticipated a much larger building. They have split it in two, similar to the lot 4. I don't know if you remember that one, but they had originally planned on a single large building, but in this case, they split it up and they built a smaller building to start with. And I expect that they'll eventually, soon, build a second smaller building on the remaining portion of what was the original contemplated lot. So my note says the actual AV is only 40% of their estimate, but the estimated start date was and is April 30th of 2025, so that's still in the future. And an estimated completion date of November 30th of 2025, still in the future. So they have reoriented their proposed layout, and the building 2 is smaller on a smaller lot. The developer still has time to build the second building and approximate the original estimated assessed value. So I think since they still have time to build additional assessed value, I recommend you find them in substantial compliance. It's just an oddity in this case that they came in so low, but they've got more time. And then the third was Axis, and that's a smaller situation. They estimated an assessed value of $2.2 million. Their actual assessed value came in at $1.7 million. and their estimated cost was a little over 2 million. Their actual cost, they did not state. Their estimated number of employees was 94. Their actual number of employees is not given. Their estimated average salary is 50,000. And their actual average salary was not given.
It's not on this list.
Yeah,
Now, you should have an updated version.
okay.
Some version two, some of the smaller.
The other packet that I was like, that was
It's not on the sheet, but it's on the.
So we need a package.
And it should say updated on the top.
It's under here.
Let's take, here we got one, we'll share. That way we don't have to worry about it.
Might be here.
Good.
Yeah, I got it.
You want me-
So their actual assessed value is, in the ballpark. And you could reasonably conclude that it's in substantial compliance. The thing that's sort of unique in a sense on this one is that though they filed their CF1, they did not file their their Form 322, which is the actual application requesting that they get abatement that was approved. And their deadline has passed. That creates an issue where they need to request a waiver. They also, of course, have to get that filed. I have talked with the representative for this entity just yesterday, I think it was, and they are in the process of getting that filed and preparing a waiver request. But the CF1, we do have that, and we can act upon it. And the CF1 and your responsibility to make a determination as to whether they're in substantial compliance is based solely on the CF1. It doesn't have anything to do with the Form 322. So that was the third note I wanted to make you aware of.
But if they haven't applied for abatement, how can they have a CF1?
They're kind of independent of one another. Obviously, they're related. You can approve it, but since they were late in file, or going to be late in filing their 322, the county is not going to process it, and they won't get the benefit of it.
But does that,
And unless, of course, they file it and you grant them a waiver.
You grant them a waiver or the county grants them a waiver?
We have to do that. And that requires, one, of course, that they request it. And secondly, that we advertise and hold a public hearing. Assuming that they do request it, that public hearing would be at the July council.
so they're not gonna get an abatement until they file that?
Correct.
Stephen, going back to, I believe it's number 2, that you have concerns with.
On page 2, correct?
I believe so. The documents weren't filed by the assessor's office. They filed, but the assessor's office or,
Oh, that was actually the first one.
Oh,
That was MEC.
so the assessor's office didn't file or process or whatever they do, which potentially,
Correct.
so, but they would not catch that or file that for a period of almost 24 months, is what you said?
No, it's basically,
A year?
yeah.
I mean, is that,
And it was, the county assessor's office, they're responsible for assessing property and getting it on the books. And if they miss it, they miss it. And property owners don't have any obligation to inform, the assessor's office and so forth. They have to get building permits, and the assessor's office gets information from the local departments and so forth. And Carmen may be able to speak more how it practically interacts. It's the assessor's office's responsibility to take care of that. And I don't know the details as to what actually happened on that.
I guess my take is that there's a few blips. There's nothing that I would on compliance or that I would say has a real material effect upon kind of the criteria that we used in granting these abatements. I'd be in favor of, finding them all in substantial compliance, but that's just me.
Are you making,
That's because I'm throwing that out there to see what everybody else thinks.
So would potentially what you're referring to, Joe, would that also include or the waiver that Access will have to come before us?
Well,
Or is that something-
they can come and explain that.
They have to
That's,
come and
That's later.
explain so that
It's like-
yeah.
potentially
just-
substantial compliance, but it doesn't include the waiver that they would
Right.
have to file.
Right.
this is just for the CF ones.
Yeah.
So other than the other three, all of them seem to be in compliant, according to Stephen.
And Stephen's explanations on those three all make sense to me, and they don't appear to have a significant financial impact to where I'd be concerned about it.
Yeah.
Based on what Joe mentioned, anybody else have any questions at all or concerns? So would you like to make a motion?
And just a quick note, if you don't mind, on the Access Group, I think it would be fair to put on the record that even if you find them in substantial compliance with CF1, that should not be considered any kind of commitment or indication as to whether or not you approve or will approve
A waiver?
a waiver.
No, I would incorporate Mr. Watson's statement into my motion. I do not to in any way ratify a waiver automatically by finding the compliance. No, that was my I would move, I'm sorry, my motion would be to find the properties listed in our updated abatement compliance evaluation summary, page 2025, dated 6/11/2024, in substantial compliance with the proviso that on the Access Group property, that this does not mean that a waiver would be approved or automatically approved, or that the council is ratifying anything like that.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Joe and then Deb. Roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Brad Godecker, Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Joe Saylor,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes.
passed 5-0.
Okay,
Stormwater standards?
so this is a really unique, I've not ever had to present a waiver of stormwater standards. And per our code, it is the town council that is the one to grant waiver of stormwater standards. So this is similar to how I would put together a staff report when I was doing plan commission and PDA, so with me. The petition of Whiteland Community High School, represented here tonight on behalf of the high school is Derek Snyder, the cross-roof engineer. Specifically, they're asking for a request of the waiver of stormwater standards for their phase 2A project. The proposal is requesting a waiver from Texas of the Town of Whiteland Design Standards and Specifications Manual, specifically a waiver from the minimum of 2 feet of cover that is maintained within the top of pipe requirement. The project location is obviously Whiteland High School. The specific site is within the staff report of where this standard is and where the pipe is located. That cannot be the cover, which will be on the east side of the property, and we can have Derek kind of provide a little bit more information, but I did include a map in your packet as well. So standards review, obviously it discusses the policy. I'm not going to read all of that, but that's specifically or right straight from our code. Again, the item being requested to be waived is the minimum 2 feet of pipe cover. So what the waiver request is actually asking for. What it says in here, I will read this. It says sewer grade shall be such that in general, a minimum of 2 feet of cover is maintained over the top of the pipe. If the pipe is to be placed under pavement, then the minimum pipe cover should be 2.5 feet from top of pavement to top of pipe. Pipe cover less than the minimum may be allowed per manufacturer's specifications or recommendations and used only with written approval from the town. So the waiver request criteria, we asked them to answer 4 specific questions and then the town provided a response, and that becomes kind of the findings of fact. The approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The petitioner's response is that the storm sewer in question will be privately owned and maintained by the Park Pleasant Community School Corporation on the Whiteman Community High School campus. The hydraulic design of the storm sewer meets the minimum design parameters for pipe diameter and slope. Therefore, it will be detrimental or injurious to, it will not be detrimental or injurious to any other property or downstream systems. Furthermore, the storm sewer class shall be class 4 reinforced concrete pipe RCP as opposed to the standard class 3 and will not be subject to live loads from vehicular traffic given the location. The town's response is that the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community as this pipe will be privately owned and maintained and per the town's outside engineer's report will not cause any injury to the town or the public that are located near or downstream from this pipe provided over structure number 81. Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the waiver will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The petitioner's response is that the pipe cover limitations are a direct result of site-specific topographical constraints and the stormwater detention volume required for the project. As indicated on the construction plans, the storm sewer discharges into the Brewer River drain, which doesn't allow for the downstream invert elevation to be lowered to provide the minimum pipe cover. Furthermore, the storm sewer is also located within the floodplain, which limits the ability to raise the finished grade above the pipe. Lastly, the storm sewer, which functions as the outlet pipe for the control structure of the proposed dry detention basin upstream, cannot be raised because it would severely reduce the detention volume and prevent the system from meeting the allowable release rates. The town's response is that the use and value of the area adjacent to the property in the waiver will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner, as there will be no impact to nearby or downstream property owners. Number 3 is the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. Petitioner's response is to provide the minimum pipe cover, the invert elevations of the upstream dry retention system would have to be raised. However, the basin top of bank elevation cannot be raised due to its proximity to the floodplain. As a result, the stormwater detention volume would be drastically reduced and the system would not meet the allowable release rate requirements. An undue hardship would be realized due to the additional underground detention being required to offset the volume lost in the dry basin. The town's response is that the strict application of the terms of our zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property due to the location being within the floodplain. The waiver is not granted, it could severely reduce the detention volume and prevent the system from meeting the allowable release rates. Fourth and last one is the granting of the requested relief will not substantially prevent the goals and purposes of the ordinance nor result in the less effective management of stormwater runoff or stormwater quality. The petitioner's response is that the granting of the waiver request will not prevent the goals of the ordinance and/or manual because the upstream dry detention system will still meet the allowable release rate requirements. Town's response says that the granting of the waiver request will not substantially prevent the goals and purposes of the ordinance due to the stormwater pipe being upgraded to a class 4 RCP and that this pipe will not be subject to live loads from vehicular traffic. The staff recommendation is to approve the waiver based on the above finding of fact that I read.
So quick and dirty, as I understand this, there is a stormwater pipe that needs to run through a floodplain, which means you can't add soil on top of it. And it is not running under anything involving vehicular traffic. It's a footpath that would have utility carts.
Grass, right?
Correct.
And it can't be very deeper because then it would be too deep for Brewer Ridge. So you can't go up, you can't go down, can't go under it, can't go around it. And it's not under a vehicular roadway.
So because I'm not an engineer, I did have our outside engineer review it and provide me with their recommendation that I based my staff report on.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I have no idea what this map says. The words are so small, I can't figure out what's what.
I couldn't make it big enough for you.
But, I mean, if someone could just come over here
I
and show,
circled in my staff report, I put a little snippet, and then I put a yellow
This is
circle,
your
that just
retention
indicates
area.
the structure that's in.
And this is the
That
structure.
81.
So what they're wanting to
where's
do.
Whiteland Road?
It's south.
Oh,
Okay, but I don't
Look at
have a
this.
direction.
yeah, right here's north.
That don't say north.
Yeah, it should. Yeah,
It don't say anything.
it's got an N for north.
So that's
They
there.
do. It is, I know. See how it says N? Right in that little dot. It's a very
Oh,
little.
this
And that,
one.
yeah, and that's north pointing
What
up.
the-
So when you lay it true to the world, lay it true to the world, so I do.
Thank you for this.
I've got a couple questions. How much coverage are you gonna have over the pipe?
What was your name, sir?
Derek Snyder, Crossroad Engineers,
How you spell your last name?
SNYDER.
Thank you, sir.
How much cover are you gonna have over the pipe?
On the upstream end, closest to the dry basin, 1.5 foot. And then next to close to the path, it'll get reduced down to 6 to 8 inches.
And this is where we're putting a path over.
There's an existing path there.
Right, and the path's falling apart now anyway. My wife walks it a lot, and we've started having tree roots come up through it too. And the concern with me was the path right there if we're going that shallow. That doesn't meet the manufacturer specs on the pipe either. And so they're not going to warranty if something goes through there. Let's say that path's supposed to be designed to take a bigger truck if we have to remove a tree or something like that. If we're going over that and then something, we crush the pipe through there going over that.
I would argue that you see a lot of, typically it's going to be corrugated metal pipe under driveways where they have very minimal cover.
Correct.
Reinforced concrete pipe, specifically that class 4 is designed for shallower cover applications.
Correct.
And at that point, yes, it would be 6 inches of cover. I think we have to saw cut a portion of the path out to get the pipe under it, to be able to outlet it directly into the ditch. So in that instance, yeah, there would be less than what you would typically see on the manufacturer's recommendation. But they just don't really recommend less than 1 foot. I think, certainly confident in saying that there's applications where there are instances where there's less than 1 foot of cover, specifically under grass areas. And this area in question is floodplain, floodway, an area where it's outside the limits of any of the future improvements that the school is planning.
And if this were to go south, it's really the school's problem rather than ours, right?
That's what I was gonna ask. Is the path ours or is the path the schools?
I don't know the answer
It
to
was
that.
a partnership with the school, but, we haven't, as far as making repairs to it, we haven't really addressed any.
So we would have to do the repairs?
No, it's on school property.
Okay,
It's on school property, but the school's not gonna repair it.
their problem.
But we went into joint progress with this, is what I'm saying. So the path is put in because the town's promoting it, walk our paths. We're making other places put in paths, connect to that path.
So it's a trail.
It's a trail, but it's a trail where you can walk around, you come out by the school, go out to the other school, come through there and I didn't know. I'm just thinking, it's the trail or path or whatever you want to call it, on protecting that and stuff like that. And I understand pipe. I mean, I've been around it and I know RCP is the best way to go and I think it will hold up. I just want to make sure, but unfortunately, it's not ours. So we really don't have a lot of jurisdiction over what it is. It's private. Only jurisdiction, that's why I want to know if the path was ours or the school's. Because if it's ours, I'd want something in writing that they would protect us on the path. But if it's not ours, then we really don't have a dog in the fight.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think that if there were to be an issue, the substantial cost would be to replace the pipe, not the path. They're gonna have to cut the path out to replace the pipe anyway. So I would see that being schools ball of
Is
wax.
this like in administration building's backyard? Okay. There's not a lot of traffic back there.
Between Martin Elementary and Mount, is that the location?
It is just east of the varsity baseball.
Right,
Right.
yeah, I can see that.
There you go.
Okay.
And then they-
Because we walked there, and this comes out by the school. Mm-hmm. And they're gonna, and you guys are gonna pave it back and everything, put it back like it was.
Yeah, the pathway is all cut.
I was just surprised this wasn't caught in the first, when it was first laid out. I mean, when they first engineered, didn't we send this out for approval? And the engineers looked at everything, stormwater and all that?
Trail?
No, for the pipe job and stuff on there. Like normally you send, an engineer looks at it, looks at all the storm calculations, figures it out, makes sure everything's acceptable to go in that ditch, retention ponds are. I was just surprised it didn't get caught then.
This project is like multiple phases,
Oh,
so
yeah.
this is part
Okay.
of phase 2A.
Yeah.
So we've
Okay.
already been through phase 1, phase 1.
Okay, so this is not, so you're bringing this up because you caught it on this.
This,
Okay, there you go. That's what I was curious about.
This is kind of the last piece of the puzzle for the plan.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I was curious about.
the school knows about it.
Supposed to start this. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was curious about. Thank you. With this being private, I don't see why it's really
Schools property.
something ours to
I don't have a
debate on.
problem.
I don't have a problem with it, so I'll make it a motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
Mr. Brown and Mr. Sayre, Mr. Godecker, second. Take a vote, please.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Roger Decker, Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Joe Saylor.
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes.
passed 5-0.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give you kind of a summary of what I wanted to discuss tonight. There's one thing, very first is the Parks Board. I put together this 11x17. I will email it out. There were quite a few people that indicated interest in being in our Parks Board. On the Parks Board, there's only 4 spots available, and you cannot have more than 2 people with the same political affiliation.
Okay.
And we actually had a good mix of Democrat, Independent, Libertarians, I believe, and then some Republicans. So we have a good mix of different diversity. I'll email it out because it's actually 2-page per person. We had asked them a list of questions, just to indicate their interest. So I'll send it out, but I wanted to give you a hard copy today. I would say I have about 20 people that are sending questions. So I'm excited about that. And I don't know how you guys want to do it because there's 5 of you. It's a legislative appointment, so you all have to agree. So if you want to pick your favorite, you can kind of see who matches. And then if there's anything you guys want to do additional interviews or anything of the potential candidates, you can do that as well. I'll let you guys kind of let me know. And then tonight was our second farmer's market, and I just wanted to we were really liking the rains this year. We had 29 vendors tonight.
Yay.
Vendors the week before. We thought that Johnson County Public Library would give us more parking, and it did, but there was still overflow into the neighborhoods those weeks. And so this will be every Tuesday from 5 to 7 at the library through the end of August. So just want to say good job, kudos. Really taking the reins on that one. I think it's 5 to 7, 5:30 to 7:30. The other thing real quick is we're in hot and heavy on the gathering sponsorships for the Party in the Park is what we're kind of calling it, our community night. We're gonna have it over in our yet to be named park, next to the fire department. But we have collected, or secured over $35,000 in sponsorships to date. And that's the most I've ever been able to be able to get. We're still bringing in things, and it's going to our new fund that we've created with the Community Foundation. So maybe that helped to increase sponsorships because it can be tax deductible. There will be live canned food, beverages being provided for Wilson, kids inflatables, other patio balloon rides, and of course fireworks. So that's July 26th. from 8 to 9:30. The other thing, just real quick, we're in the process of our comprehensive plan, so June 18th, next Tuesday, at the Greenwood New Event Center, Denier. We'll be having a community workshop from 5:30 to 7. It's open to anyone and everyone who's going to provide their input, what they'd like to see, what they, growth, the transportation, all those fun things. As far as our kind of vision casting. Lastly, I think I said that last thing was the last thing, but if you guys, I have been trying to work with Cummins to get an announcement out on the More Logistics Lot 6 building. And it's a partnership with Cummins and DHL, but the media's kind of already gotten hands on it, so we're of course excited that Cummins has come to town and that we can finally talk about it. The sign is on the building. At this point, I don't know that the press release is separate from what's already been released, if it's redundant or not, but we are super excited. They're expecting over 300 employees once they get fully functional there. And then I'm working on getting a tour for anyone that would be interested of the DHL property that's on the south side of Whiteland Road at 45. The big building there on the south side for any council members. I would like to get a tour there, pretty intricate conveyor system that is maybe one of the first in the country of just helping people flown in from another country and there's representatives from other countries.
This is the extra set of papers.
That's the building that the tornado hit.
When he handed me all this stuff, it got all out of whack.
We're on the south side of Western Road.
Okay.
Thank you. We kind of need it back.
Thank you, Carmen.
I'll find it.
Slim, do you have anything for us? You sure?
He looks fairly sure.
No, he doesn't look too. Mr. Ship? Sure? Nothing? Eric's not here. Council comments at all?
You guys all have this receipt.
Yep.
Can I get the second page back and give it to Melissa, please? Has the bank account number on it.
Well, now that you say that, Deb. Now that you say. Sailors are going to sea.
Well, that's the water account.
Ooh,
Yeah.
red lobster. Better go fast, they're closing,
Put the paper, she sat that on our desk.
they're closing.
Well, if I can find it, I'll.
I'm looking. She only give it to you, maybe she only give it to
No.
you.
I got it.
Take his copy.
No, you got it?
What, you trust me as he's an attorney?
Yes, I do.
My packet, Melissa, and you
Okay.
can fry it, because I can't.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, she'll get on.
That's it.
I'm looking for one too, but I don't think I.
Mr. Watson, you have something to say?
Yes, just to follow up on tax abatements, I mentioned in my comments about the MEC that they're requesting a second cycle for the $1 million build out. And we didn't get any determination on that. And just as a little more background, having second cycles, some third cycles is common and something that has been the policy of the town to allow. And so this again would be something I would recommend to be consistent with that policy, particularly since we've approved the substantial compliance. But so that I can get back to the county and let them know for sure.
Thank you.
I intended to include that in my motion, and I don't know if I missed it or maybe I didn't speak clearly, but that was my intention, but if
we
council wants to take it back up.
That's fine. I don't see anything more.
I consent.
My consent.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you. And then, other thing, relates to the opioid interlocal agreement. You may remember, I think maybe 2 months ago, we presented that. And it's progressed a little bit where the county attorney has provided a proposed interlocal agreement along with multiple resolutions for each bodies that are participating in that, which would be Johnson County, Franklin, Whiteland, New Whiteland, Fauquier. Is there anybody else I'm missing? Edinburgh, okay. Well, the issue has to do with the fact that our law firm represents you, New Whiteland, and Trafalgar. And so for us to review and assist in finalizing that, we would need a conflict of interest waiver. This is one in which I don't think it's any big deal. It's more of just making sure that it says what it's supposed to say. It's not really a negotiation, really, in the usual sense. But in order to move forward, we would want to have the town, Whiteland, recognize that there is a waiver that you're consenting to, so that we can help with that. And if you have any questions about that, answer.
The nature of that arrangement is non-adversarial, and we're not looking to actually giving money, getting it. So I'm not really concerned about review or a waiver of conflict of interest. I don't see there's really any. There's certainly not a conflict of interest where it would impair Mr. Watson's firm's ability to advise us. I guess I would say that.
And if you're okay with it, I would just ask that you delegate authority to Carmen to sign an appropriate waiver for that.
I would make a motion to waive conflict of interest as regards opiate settlement funds for disclosed conflicts by the firm of Williams Barrett Wilkowski.
Second. Brad, want to say it?
Oh, I thought you were second.
Looking for a second.
Yeah, I thought he did too. He said that second. I said, okay.
Take a vote, please.
Tim Brown?
Yes.
Brad Godecker?
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson?
Yes,
Joe Saylor?
Yes.
Richard Hill?
Yes.
Passed 5-0. And who did
those
second
are all
that?
yours.
Brad,
I was going to throw away.
Thank you.
any other comments from the council?
It's just,
Have any public comment at all? Going once? Consider our meeting adjourned. Thank you.